Hello. This is Abraham Hartwood, and I want to welcome you to the Heartline Heart Talk with Adelaide. I am so thankful to be here. This is episode number 3. We are bringing Heart Talk back in the form of a podcast. So I'm really excited about us being here today. So we're going to get right into it. Are you telling yourself the truth? Are you telling yourself the truth? I know that you might be there for everyone else. You might be loving on everyone else, but you want people to keep it real with you. Are you keeping it real with yourself? That's the question. Are you keeping it real with yourself? So today we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to keep it real with yourself. We're going to talk a little bit about some scenarios that many of us may get to truly be honest with ourselves, because from that space of truthfulness we can begin to experience freedom. Free is the question. Do you feel bound? um I was really excited about us getting on today and talking about this. And those of you that might be live on YouTube or on Facebook, shout out to you. Thank y'all so much for the love and the support. I am really thankful for this season in our lives, and it's really up to us um, to activate and to take advantage of the wonderful things that God is doing. I've been having conversations with clients and family and friends. And one of the things that I found that is really a big issue in many of our lives is that we don't want to tell ourselves the truth. Like, we come up with certain scenarios and situations, expectations in our lives. Then it's like we create a ideal life, and we try to fit our life. I feel like for many of us, you're probably experience a lot of frustration and heartache and anger and pain right now, because your life doesn't look like you thought it was supposed to look. Your life doesn't look like it was supposed to be. And because you're not enough, it isn't because you're not smart enough. It isn't because of anything other than you're not really telling yourself the truth, right? Like, you are not, you have not embraced the truth that is your life purpose to authentically transform their lives. In the process of confronting matters of the heart, one of the things that I find is that many of us are not living our lives from a realistic perspective. We're living our lives from a perspective of how we think it's supposed to look, how we think it's supposed to be, and we're these ideals, right? We're pursuing these expectations that the world has placed on us, but this isn't really necessarily what God has been saying to us, has been sharing with us. And so I want you to think about, why are you doing it, right? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why do you get up every morning and go on your job, or volunteer where you volunteer? Why do you live where you live? Why are you in relationship and community with? Start to really look at your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because a part of why you're doing what you're doing has to deal with the stories that you're telling yourself. See, we like to get other people to keep it real with us, and we want other people to be real with us. We want other people to be loyal to us. We want people to um how I've heard people say keep it 100, but many times we're not doing that for ourselves. We have expectations of others that we don't ourselves to the same level of accountability. And it's really impacting our lives. It's really impacting our mission and our purpose. Like, you probably would feel better about working in your purpose and living in your purpose if you were telling yourself the truth. See, you probably listening to me right now in a career that you pursued because you thought if you got that money, or you thought that if you had that access, or if you had that influence, if you were in with that group of people, then your life would be better. You thought that if you could just present yourself a certain way, if you could just get certain accolades, if you could just reach certain achievements, that your life would be better. And now that you've achieved those things and you've reached those spaces, you're still seeing that your life isn't any better. I'm saying you need to tell yourself the truth. A part of me doing the Heartline and coming back and doing podcasts and group coaching session is because I have been very convicted in realizing that this is the thing that God has called me to do, to encourage, to uplift, to exhort Him in the way that I live my life, in the way that I love on and care for others. This is the truth that I had to tell myself. Now, there are many things that have gone on in my life that may have been distracting, or things that have been going on that I feel may have caused me to get off course or get off track because of the truth. It's really easy to get itchy eyes and itchy ears. You can look at other people and see what they have going on. You can hear things about other people, and it can get you distracted off your own track. And for me, I have such a heart and a passion to help people. When God had me start Heart Talk back in 2014, the Lord was stirring me since 2008 to start Heart Talk. It took me 6 years to go from hearing, create this life support group where we come together and do life together by standards and principles from the Word of God. But because I didn't feel worthy, and I didn't feel like I had the access and the wherewithal, and I had the accolades or the accreditations to um, facilitate such a group, I didn't do it for 6 years. And then when I began to do it, when I began to um, do Heart Talk or whatever, then it's like a movement started, right? And to be honest with you, throughout this journey, like I was just thinking about this today. Like I've had my times of consistency since I started Heart Talk, and then I've had my times of not being there, and of not showing up. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit today because it really doesn't matter what you go through. It's all about you not giving up. If you're willing to tell yourself the truth, then you're never going to get the way you need to be. Why are you so? I got very I'm looking left and looking to the right and feeling like maybe I wasn't doing enough, or maybe I wasn't um as effective to be. I was looking at the external presentation of people and circumstances and situations that I had invested a lot of time and energy in. I wasn't seeing the growth that I thought I should see. I started to internalize a lot of things and say, well, maybe I'm not as effective as I thought I was, or maybe I need to pursue something else. But one of the things that I realized when I started to work my step on myself and go through my 6-step process and talking to God and journaling, one thing I am, regardless of somebody, if I have thousands of people listening or nobody at all, the Lord has called me to encourage, and that's about the truth that I can stand on in season or out of season. I know that this is what God has called me to do. So my question to you is, what does God call you to do? What is that thing that you're not telling yourself the truth about? What is that thing that you're running from? Our issue is we are so focused on looking around us, comparing ourselves to other people, that we're not telling the truth about our own lives. One of the things you need to understand when you compare yourself to somebody else is they have not gone through the same circumstances and situations in their life as you've gone through in yours. And because of that, because of this truth, this fact of the matter, it's not fair to you or to others for you to compare yourself to other people, because your story is not their story, just like their story is not yours. But one of the things I found in doing this work is we do so many things to cover up and protect ourselves from the truth. That is who we are, what we think about ourselves. Because the thing about the truth is relative to what your life experiences and circumstances are at that time. That's why I like to stand on the truth of the word of God, because that doesn't change. There was a time in my life where my truth was that I hated my parents. I did not like being around them. I felt like they had abandoned me, rejected me, that they did not take care of me the way that I needed to be taken care of. And I had facts to support those feelings. So in that season, I was telling myself the truth. But as I started to grow and heal and learn, and I grew as a parent and started to have to raise my children, I started to realize it wasn't as cut and dry as I thought it was. And God was really doing something different in my life. And now, maybe the truth that I thought was the truth about my parents changed and has shifted. So where in your life have you adopted a truth that is no longer true? This is something that I want you to think about, because like we're in a season of our lives where we really can't afford to continue to act like we don't know what's going on. Like we cannot afford to continue to just go along just to get along, and just go along on our own agenda and just do things our own way. No, life is going to be very unfulfilling and unhappy and frustrating and miserable for you if that's your focus in the season. So if you want to continue to pretend and you want to continue to act like you're okay when you know you're not, act like you got it together when you know you don't, this is really not the space for you. But if you are someone that you know God is calling you to something greater in your life, and you know it's time to take it to the next level, we are here to do this together. But in order for you to do that, you have to tell yourself the truth. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's start with your personal life, right? So one of the things that we focus on building in my company, Addie BB LLC, is a personal and professional development company. And one of the things that we're really focusing on is building personal wealth, right? Personal wealth is this whole idea of really investing in yourself on a personal level, meaning you are taking care of your inner being. You're making sure you're physically taking care of yourself, like you're eating well, exercising, moving your body. You're going to therapy, getting counseling, in fellowship with those that can support you. You're making sure you take care of your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. Like you are focusing on you and taking care of you and your relationship with God and everything that's surrounded with that. That's personal wealth. Excuse me, I have some allergies acting up. I feel fine, but my nose just run a little bit. So when we talk about we build personal wealth and relational wealth is your relationship in reference to those around you. So there are family, friends, co-workers, business partners, and colleagues that you come into a daily basis. What is your relationship like with them? How wealthy are you when it comes to your relationships? That's something I want you to think about. And the other thing we focus on is financial wealth, right? So a lot of times people want to focus on getting the bag and getting wealthy, and they want to work hard because they're trying to reach this goal. Because many of us think that if I could just reach a certain financial goal, if I could just get to a certain place in my finances, then my life will just be perfect and my life will be better. And that couldn't be further from the truth. The whole idea of us building personal, relational, and financial wealth is the whole idea is you really can't enjoy your finances until you can enjoy yourself. Many, like, a lot of you can't even like sit in a quiet room with the TV off without getting anxious or upset. You always have to touch your phone, you always have to scroll, you always have to hear sound, because you don't know how to deal with yourself. You don't know how to be quiet, you don't know how to be still, you don't know how to sit with self and see what God is telling you, and that lets you know that you're in a deficit. If you can't still with yourself and you can't sit still with God, then what is your relationship like with others? And even if you have a good dollar amount in the bank financially, can you admit? No, not if your personal wealth is in a deficit. People always want to focus on grinding and getting a bag. And for some reason, we seem to think, and I'm guilty of it, we seem to think that there is some level of money we can get in the bank account. There is some level of money or status that we can achieve. And in doing that, we seem to think that if I get this amount of money, it's like we have this impenetrable defense that it's just going to protect us from everything, and it. That's why Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. I will give you rest for your soul." You cannot give yourself rest. You have to enter into the rest of God. And the only way we can enter into the rest of God is by being real with Him and telling Him the truth. So if you're tired of living this life, if you're tired of trying to create a life for yourself that it's just more and you missing out on, like, you know what? You need to talk to God about some things. It's time to tell yourself the truth. If you're tired of being the main one, the only one in the relationship that's giving so much, but you feel guilty when you stop giving or setting boundaries, you need to talk to God about that, because the truth of the matter is you're probably in an unhealthy codependent relationship. And it's time to make some changes. It's time to do something different in your life. It's time to tell yourself the truth. If you're in a marriage and your marriage is miserable, stop acting like you are happy and you're not. If you are single and you have an issue with your singleness, you need to talk to somebody about it. Stop internalizing it. Just because you're not talking about it don't mean it's not written all over your face. Remember the song? I think it was Men at Large. It's written all over your face. Y'all remember that song? I know, you don't have to say a word. And I know I'm one of those people that I wear my feelings on my sleeve. So typically, if I'm feeling a certain way, you could look at me and tell, because my facial expression, I don't have a poker face. I really don't. If I'm upset, it's a good chance you could tell. And if you can't see it in me, you could feel it from me. And that's something that I've been working on for years. But one of the things that I realized about that is it's nothing wrong with the fact that you can see it. The issue comes in when I'm not telling the truth about how I'm feeling. So now I'm being passive aggressive. So I'm upset or sad or down about something, and instead of telling that person or speaking about it or addressing it, I do passive aggressive things. I say I'm okay when I'm not okay. I armor up. I try to typically what happens feeling insecure is I try to overwork. Like I try to work on something I've been putting off, or just there are these little defense mechanisms that I like to call them that I'll do. And then I've been teaching myself to pay attention to when you feel like you got to do something and you got to figure this out. And it's typically when I'm feeling insecure. And since I'm feeling insecure, I feel like I need to strive in some way so that I can feel more adequate, so I can feel more important, so that I can feel like I have more going for myself. I could be the only one, but I know I'm not. I just want you to know that whether you talk about what you're struggling with, it's evident in your life. I I think a lot back right now on things God has called you to do. God has called you to go places and do things. God has called you to step up and step out. But right now, you're in a season that you're overthinking, right? You're trying to make sense of it. That's what I was doing. I was overthinking, bringing the heart line, bringing heart talk back. I've been overthinking some of the things that God has called me to do. But a big reason why I was overthinking, because there was a part of me that felt like I didn't get it right the first time. So when you feel like you didn't get it right the first time, or you messed up the first time, a lot of times you're a little reluctant or hesitant to try it again. It's amazing the things that we do to try to avoid rejection. But one of the things that God has had to deal with me on, you talk about telling yourself the truth, is that the Lord has been dealing with me on this whole idea of what is success and what isn't success. The way the world has defined success, our culture does not work for a lot of us. But we're trying to achieve something that we know doesn't work because it's been marketed to us and told to us and shoved down our throats. Like, this is what happiness is. Get your house, get your car, your 2.5 kids, your house with picket fence, and there you go. Okay, we are here. We're back. Just had some technical difficulties, but we are back. Okay, we're talking about telling ourselves the truth. And we were talking about, I was just talking about being in a season of life where I have aging parents. They're not old, but they're getting older. And um, I also have children who are young adults and some still at home. And one of the things that I realize in this season of my life is that there are a lot of ways and things about me that I adapted as a child to learn how to deal with situations that I was going through. For example, my defense mechanisms, the attitude, sometimes I can get an attitude, and I will immediately go to being very independent. And typically when I do that, it's because I feel threatened or I feel like I am on the verge of being rejected or left behind or left out in some particular way. So what I will do is go into this mode of I'll do it myself. I'll figure it out myself. I will work it out myself. If I can't do it by myself, it just won't get done. This is something that I do to protect myself, but not necessarily something that I'm doing because I'm telling myself the truth. And I found that as I am getting older and finding my place in life in this season, I'm finding that though I've done a lot of work on myself, there are a lot of things that resurface from the past that really seriously impact my day-to-day life, especially having a teenager and young adults in the home and aging parents. One of the things that I found in this season of supporting especially like my mom and I building our relationship is I have to tell myself the truth about when I'm being triggered in communication with my mother. Because if I don't tell the truth about it, then I can come across as snappy and I'll be short and communicate with a attitude because I'm being triggered by something that I might not even realize, but I need to tell myself the truth, right? I need to express what I'm feeling at this time. And I wanted to talk to you about this today because I feel like it's you need to know that it's not necessarily that your life is so bad. It's not necessarily that your circumstances are just so out of whack, but a lot of what you're dealing with is because you're not telling the truth and your body is angry and upset with you about that. So if you're someone that's dealing with ulcers, if you're someone that's having pain, a lot of joint pain and nerve pain, if you're someone that's dealing with a lot of constipation, I'm not a doctor. But what I will say is if you start just telling yourself the truth, you don't have to pick up the phone and call nobody. You don't have to get a therapy appointment, but get a journal or pray and talk to God and start telling God the truth about how you feel, how rejected you feel, how sad you feel, how afraid you feel, how left out and left behind you feel. You will start to notice a shift and a change in your life. One of the things in being the heart coach, and I work with people to confront matters of the heart so they can live authentically on purpose, especially dealing with teenagers and young adults. I am constantly triggered by my past. My children are constantly doing things that remind me of a lot of situations in my life that I'm not proud of, things that maybe didn't work out the way I wanted it to work. And it's easy to try to control them, to try to be passive aggressive and try to strong arm them to make decisions and do things that I want them to do. But the thing that God is teaching me is I need to come to Him and tell Him the truth about what I'm feeling. Because we want to pour our heart out to people. We want to tell them the truth so that they can understand us. And really what I'm trying to say is it's time for you to tell God the truth about your life. It's time for you to have an open, straight up dialogue with God with God about who you are and where you are, what you're dealing with, what you think about your situation, what kind of things you've been thinking about that you want to do, and then allow the Holy Spirit to come in and give you some instruction and some guidance. The problem in your life right now is you've been overthinking. You've been in control of too many things. You have not surrendered your life to Him to make changes and to lead and to guide you. And now is the time to do that. Now is the time to do it. We so worried about keeping it real with other people. It's time for you to keep it real with yourself and the God that created you. God doesn't need your anything but your obedience. He tells us in 1 Samuel, obedience trumps sacrifice anytime. Many of us would rather give physically. We will give money, we will give clothes, we will give time. But the Lord is wanting you. He wants you to. Why do you keep protecting yourself? Why do you have to figure it out? Why do you have all of the answers? Why do you have to be in control? Why can't you make a move until you know the next 3 steps? Why can't you just walk by faith right now? Who hurt you? Who let you down? Who told you couldn't be more than what you are right now and you believe them? That's what we're talking about. This is what we're dealing with right now. And I know you got to make money and I know you have to pay your bills, but can I tell you something? God wants your heart. He wants to heal you. He knows the pain. He knows the brokenness. And I'm telling you, I'm here right now, like I'm just be very honest with you. I really want to I've been trying so hard to like package myself and present myself in this way that I think is great and nice. And that's why sometimes I go because I'm trying to figure out some things in my head. And as I work through this process, the Lord is telling me it's really not about any of that. It's just about you. How much you willing to surrender to me and give your heart to me and don't try to figure it out on your own and surrender to my process and my plan for your life. And that's my question to you. Are you willing to tell yourself the truth? Are you willing to submit to God's plan for your life and not your own plan for your life? Because you really, 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 um, it's like you're digging a hole for yourself because you keep telling yourself, you're telling yourself what the world has told you, but I'm saying it's time to tell yourself the truth. What does your heart want? What types of things make your soul light? What things do you do or think about doing that make you excited and make you happy and just make you feel rejuvenated inside? What kind of things do you do or you allow yourself to do and excited and fulfilled? Those are the things that you need to focus on. Do you even tell yourself the truth about that? Do you ever sit down and think about what gets you going, what makes you happy, what makes you excited? Because if you don't, now is the time. Now is really the time. And I know that there are a lot of messages out there, a lot of people grabbing for your attention, things to do. If you do these 3 things, your life will be perfect and your life will be amazing. But all I'm asking you to do is tell yourself the truth. Stop telling yourself what you even think you want to hear, and stop surrounding yourself with people who are going to tell you what you want to hear versus people that are going to tell you what you need to hear. And it's time to tell yourself the truth. That's really all I wanted to get on and share with you today. Remember, every Monday we are here on the Heartline, Heart Talk with Adelaide. Every Monday at noon, we're either going to be live or have a pre-recorded show, but we will be here. And this Monday, I just wanted to remind you and encourage you to tell yourself the truth. If you're not already subscribed, you Heartline Talk, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You can find this podcast any place you find podcasts, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and every place else. We're learning all of that now. And the biggest thing I want you to do is just commit to telling yourself the truth. I think one of the reasons I had to get on and start recording like this is because I was waiting for a perfect time, and there is no perfect time. And I had in my mind that it needs to be a certain way. That's not necessarily the case. But what the Lord is showing me is we have our and neat and nicely packaged and wrapped up ways of being, and then we have our not so put together, and we don't have all the answers, and we're trying to figure out self, and that's all one being that is us. And as long as we keep thinking we can compartmentalize ourselves, our lives are going to keep feeling detached. So I feel like if it's anything, um I'm here on Mondays just to testify that you matter, you're important, you are loved, and the Lord wants you encouraged. It doesn't have to look the way I'm doing it. It doesn't have to look like anybody else you've ever seen. But I feel like it's something that the Lord is stirring for you deep down in your soul. And what I'm saying is now is the time to tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth about what it is God is calling you to do. Tell yourself the truth about how you feel about yourself and your past. What do you think about yourself? Forget what other people say about you. What do you think about you? Because that is the subconscious tune that's always playing in the background. And if you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter how much work and effort and money and time you invest in it, it's never going to work out. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. And that's why I'm telling you to tell yourself the truth. And telling the truth can make us very vulnerable at times because we go through great lengths to cover up the truth and present a more pleasant version of ourselves. So we think. So when I say tell yourself the truth, I say get your therapist, get you a counselor, a trusted friend, or even and also a journal. And I always advise my clients, just write what's on your heart. Write until you feel lighter. And if you feel embarrassed by what you wrote in your journal, take it out and rip it up and burn it, or like rip it up and throw it in the trash. You don't have to hold on to it. You just need to get it out of you. Just like your physical body has to excrete waste. When you eat and drink, your body filters those nutrients out, and the waste comes out in the form in various forms. What do you do with your emotional, mental, and spiritual waste? You got to let it out. And one of the biggest ways that you can do that is journaling, therapy, coaching, finding different ways and avenues to give yourself some relief. You cannot wait for others to heal you and save you. You are the Savior. You already have the life. The Lord has already saved you, but you're going to have to take this help that He's giving you. And one of the ways you do that is by telling yourself the truth. So that's all I got for today, guys. We're going to be back. I'm working on some special guests that will be coming on soon. I'm really excited. If you or anyone you know want to come on and we have a conversation on the Heartline, I would love to do that with you. This isn't just for me, but this is for all of us in our Heart Tribe, which is our community, those that want to heal and build personal, relational, and financial wealth through authentic living. the Heart Tribe. This is what we're doing. We are growing and supporting one another. And you're going to see a lot more coming in the future. But for now, we're just going to keep this podcast coming every Monday at noon. Please share, please like, please comment, please subscribe. Um, and I just thank you for being on this journey with me. This is Adelaide Brown, your heart coach. This is the Heartline Heart Talk with Adelaide. And we will be here every Monday at noon. How they say in the South, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we will be here having heart talk. It may be me, it may be others. If you would like to come on, make sure and send us a private message. We would love to talk about how you can come on the podcast, you and others. And if you know somebody that's interesting that you think you would like for that person and myself to have a conversation, I would love to bring them on. So think about it. We will be back next Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Remember, when you heal your heart, you transform your life. So let's heal our hearts together so we can transform our world. I love y'all, and I'll see you next week. Adelaide, your heart coach, signing out.